All right, ready to dive into some color.
Always.
Awesome. Today we're looking at paint trends.
Ooh, fun.
We've got a whole bunch of articles about what's hot on the walls right now.
That's perfect because I just repainted my living room.
Oh, really? What color did you go with?
I went with like a deep green.
Ooh, nice. Very on trend, I bet.
Well, that's what I'm hoping. We'll see if I made the right choice.
Well, we can definitely check that out today because we're also going to talk about Pantone's 2025 Color of the Year. And let me tell you, it's got people talking.
Yeah, I saw that. A little unexpected.
Very.
Yeah.
But that's what we're here to unpack.
I think what's so interesting about paint colors is it's not just about like how it looks.
Right, yeah.
You know, it really says something about what's going on culturally.
Yeah.
Like it's almost psychological, you know?
Yeah, it's like a snapshot of the moment we're in.
Exactly.
And it's not even just about our homes either.
No, not at all.
These articles are connecting like everything, celebrity fashion, art exhibits, everything, to the colors we're choosing.
I know. It's like it's all tied together somehow.
Right.
It's wild. Like, think back to the 80s.
Yeah.
It seemed like everyone was just playing it safe with Magnolia.
Magnolia, yeah, so true.
Yeah, but then the 90s came along. You had brands like Faro and Ball with their fancy names.
Yeah?
Like, remember Elephant's Breath?
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
It made choosing a color feel so sophisticated.
Right. And expensive.
Totally. It felt exclusive.
Yeah, like you were in the know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But now it seems like people are going for bolder colors.
Definitely bolder, yeah.
What's driving that, do you think?
Well, the articles mention all these vibrant and pop hues.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
even more popular are the darker, moodier, you know,
Oh, interesting.
sometimes almost like jewel tones.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, it's like people are more confident in their style now.
That's a good point. Not afraid to make a statement.
Right, exactly. It's
Yeah.
a shift for sure.
It is. So are you ready to embrace all this boldness? Or are you more of a neutral kind of person?
Honestly, I think there's a time and a place for both.
Fair enough.
But speaking of bold, we have to talk about Pantone's 2025 Color of the Year.
Yes. Mocha Mousse, right?
That's the one.
Brown. I mean, that's a pretty bold choice itself, don't you think?
Definitely. Especially considering it's been like, what, over 20 years since they picked a brown?
Yeah, exactly.
And they don't just pick it out of a hat.
No.
Pantone's team really looks at everything.
Mhm.
Fashion, technology, even like what's happening in the world.
Right, like a big picture.
Exactly. To find a color that sums up the whole year, you know?
I mean, I can see how Mocha Mousse fits into this whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, after all the craziness we've been through,
Yeah,
maybe it reflects that need for comfort, for stability.
totally. It's like that feeling of a warm hug, but in color form.
It is. It's funny, some of these articles are even describing it like simple and comforting.
Right. And they use these phrases like subtle elegance, earthy refinement.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Very calming.
Definitely taps into that longing for peace.
Yeah, that need for connection.
Connection, for sure.
But, you know, I've also seen some pretty strong opinions online.
Oh, I bet. Like what?
Well, some people are saying it's like luxury knitwear,
Okay.
but others are comparing it to swamp water.
Wow. That's quite the range.
Right, but that's the thing about color, isn't it?
What's that?
So subjective. What one person loves, another might totally hate.
Very true. Very true.
And that kind of brings us to this whole other thing about the psychology of color.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about that.
Well, you know how we always say certain colors make you feel a certain way?
Of course. Yeah.
Well, it's way more than just that. There's a whole science behind how color affects us.
Like on a deeper level.
Exactly, like consciously and subconsciously, you know?
Wow. Okay, give me some examples.
Well, for example, some colors can actually make you hungrier.
No way.
Yeah, and others can help you relax or even focus better.
Really?
Yeah, it's wild.
So when we're picking out paint for our homes, it's not just about what looks pretty.
No, not at all.
It's about how those colors are going to make us feel, right?
Exactly. It's about creating a whole mood.
So super important then.
Oh, for sure. And one of these articles actually warned against using strong colors without really thinking it through.
Oh, good point.
Yeah, they even said the wrong strong color can be unbearable.
Oof. Yeah, I can see that. I remember once I painted my bathroom this bright yellow.
Oh, no.
Thought it'd be cheerful,
Yeah,
but it was just way too intense,
Yeah.
especially in a small space.
too much.
It was like being trapped in a giant lemon.
Oh, I bet. That's why those little tester pots are so important.
They're lifesavers.
You got to see how a color actually looks in your space.
Right, with the lighting and everything.
Exactly. Before you commit to a whole gallon, you know.
For sure. Lesson learned. So, okay, we've got these big trends going bolder, craving comfort.
Yes.
But the articles also highlight 9 specific color trends.
Right.
We've touched on Mocha Mousse a bit already.
Yeah.
But where do we go from there?
Well, since you mentioned your bright yellow bathroom mishap,
Oh, no, that again.
let's transition to something a bit more serene.
Okay, I like that idea.
How about those avocado and olive greens?
Yes. I'm seeing those everywhere lately.
They're so popular right now.
And I get it. They're so calming and natural.
Totally. Like they make you feel like you've stepped into a forest.
Yes, exactly.
There was even this one room in one of the articles that used like 3 different shades of green.
Oh, wow.
They called it layering to create this whole immersive experience.
I love that idea.
Right. Like instead of just an accent wall,
Yeah.
the whole room becomes a statement.
That's so cool. What else did the experts have to say about green?
Well, they talked about how it reflects this growing confidence in using color.
Oh, interesting.
Like people are understanding how color affects the whole feel of a room, and they're willing to experiment more.
That's a good thing. Right?
Definitely. It's like we're breaking free from those old color rules
Fuck it, yeah.
and embracing more personal expression.
I like that. Okay, so we've got those calming greens.
Mm-hmm.
What's next on our color tour?
Well, let's shift gears a bit
Okay.
to something a little more dramatic.
Oh.
How about burgundy and crimson?
Ooh, yes.
Those rich, warm tones are definitely making a statement.
They do. And they're so sophisticated.
Very. I remember one article even called them shadow colors.
Shadow colors? What does that even mean?
So it's this technique where you use like a darker version of the same color family
Oh, okay.
to create more depth.
Gotcha.
Like you might pair a kind of dusky pink with a hint of cocoa on the walls
Interesting.
and then use a deeper terracotta on, say, the woodwork.
So it's about using different shades to add dimension.
Exactly. And it's not just about the color itself either.
What else?
The article also talked about using texture.
Texture.
They described this one wall color as having a powdery finish.
Ooh, powdery. Nice.
Yeah, almost like dried earth, they said.
Well, very descriptive.
It's like trying to create a whole experience, you know?
That's so cool. I love those little details.
Me too.
Okay, so calming greens, dramatic reds.
Yep.
What other colors are catching your eye?
Well, since we're on the topic of drama,
Okay.
we can't forget about plum and grape tones.
Oh, tell me more.
These deep shades have this real sense of mystery to them.
Intriguing. Where would you use those colors?
Ooh, well, one article had this gorgeous grape color with a chalky matte finish in a mid-century modern room.
Ooh, I love mid-century modern.
It was amazing. They described it as like hovering between a decadent plum and a deep brown.
Wow.
And they said it's really connected to that whole bohemian design vibe.
I'm getting a good visual here. You know, it's funny.
What's that?
Whether it's greens, browns,
Yeah.
purples,
Yeah.
there's this connection to nature that keeps popping up.
You're right. I think people are craving that grounding natural influence.
Yeah, like bringing the outside in.
Exactly. And speaking of natural inspiration,
Okay.
let's move on to something a little, well, maybe unexpected.
Oh, I'm intrigued. What is it?
Deep moss green.
Okay. Moss green.
Yeah, I know. It can be tricky.
It can go wrong so easily.
Right. Like it can feel too dark.
Or too much like actual moss.
Exactly. But the way they're using it in these articles is really clever.
Oh. How so?
It's not about covering whole rooms in moss green.
Okay.
It's more about using it strategically,
Strategically, okay.
creating a focal point
Right.
or adding a touch of drama.
More like an accent then.
Right, or a grounding element.
Okay, I see.
One article even described it as meditative and soothing.
Huh. Interesting.
They even compared it to the colors used by the Bloomsbury Group.
Wow. I never would have thought of that.
Right. It's funny how something one person finds off-putting
Yeah.
can be totally inspiring to someone else.
It's all about personal preference, I guess.
And how you use it, of course.
Good point.
Yeah.
Okay, you've convinced me I might have to give moss green another chance.
I think you should.
But before I go painting my walls,
Yes.
what's the next color trend on our list?
Okay, let's talk about rich browns.
Brown. Really?
I know, you might be surprised.
I am a little...
But remember Pantone's Mocha Mousse?
Oh, right.
It's a sign that brown is back in style.
So it all ties together.
It does.
And it's not just any brown. It's got to be those warm, rich shades.
Exactly. They're way more sophisticated than just plain brown.
Definitely more interesting.
One of the articles called A Particular Brown Restrained and Utilitarian.
Restrained to utilitarian. Okay.
Yeah, and they said browns are great because they create a perfect backdrop
A backdrop for what?
for more natural, rustic things.
Oh, like wood and stone.
Exactly. It's all about creating that cozy, grounded atmosphere.
I'm getting a serious cabin in the woods vibe from this whole brown trend.
Right. It's like the opposite of that minimalist look that was everywhere a few years ago.
Totally. It's all about warmth and texture now.
Exactly. But, the article did say that brown might not be the best choice for every room.
Oh, really? Why not?
Well, they said it's not great for rooms that don't get a lot of natural light.
Okay, that makes sense.
Or for super modern spaces.
So it's all about context.
Right. It's not just about loving a color in general.
Yeah.
It's about knowing how it'll work in your specific space.
Makes sense. All right, let's move on to the next color.
Okay, this one is a personal favorite of mine.
Oh.
Dusty rose pink and terracotta.
Ooh, I love those.
Right, they're so pretty.
They're having a real moment, aren't they?
They are. One article featured this beautiful dining room with fresh pink walls and warm terracotta on the woodwork.
Oh, wow, I can just picture it.
They even described the terracotta as, like, a shadow color.
There's that phrase again.
Yeah, but this time they said it was like the shadow cast by a stone slab in the sun.
Okay, now that is a beautiful way to describe a color.
Right. It's so poetic.
It really shows how personal our color choices can be.
Exactly. It's not just about what looks good, it's about what speaks to you.
Totally. And in this case, they were saying that those pink and brown shades have a really grounding effect because they remind us of nature.
Oh, interesting.
Like the earth.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's like we're drawn to those colors because they make us feel connected to something bigger than ourselves.
It's a fascinating idea, right?
It is. Like there's this whole subconscious thing happening with color.
Totally. It's amazing how much psychology is tied into it.
Okay, on to trend number 8.
Okay.
And this one is guaranteed to brighten up any space.
Let's hear it.
Warm golden yellows.
Oh, yes. Love those.
They're so cheerful.
They are, but they can also be really sophisticated.
Yeah, it's not just like kids' room yellow.
Right. It's more like those yellows with a little orange or brown mixed in. Like one article had this room with a deeper yellow on the ceiling.
Interesting.
And then a brighter yellow with a pink undertone on the walls.
So 2 different yellows.
Yeah, they called it the double drenching approach.
Double drenching, huh?
I know, right?
So it's like taking the accent wall to the next level.
Exactly. It creates this really immersive effect.
I bet. What kind of impact did it have on the room?
Well, it made the other colors really pop.
Oh, okay.
Like they had this bright starlit chair that just stood out against the yellow.
I bet that looked awesome.
It did. And they even said that this whole golden yellow trend might be inspired by Van Gogh's paintings.
No way.
Really? Yeah. He used a lot of those vibrant yellows,
That's so cool. I love when art history influences design.
Me too. It's so interesting to see those connections.
Okay, last but not least, tell me about the 9th color trend.
All right, let's talk about ultramarine.
Ultramarine, yes.
It's a gorgeous color.
It is. Like deep blue skies, sparkling gemstones.
Exactly. It adds a touch of luxury to any space.
I've always loved ultramarine. It's bold, but not too overpowering.
Right. You can use it in lots of different ways.
So how are designers using it in these articles?
Well, one example was in a small space, like at the bottom of the staircase.
Okay.
And they used this deep blue against a lighter background.
Nice.
They said it created drama and personality.
I bet it did.
But it also made the space feel cozy.
So you can use a bold color in a small space and still make it feel welcoming.
Exactly. It's all about balance.
And contrast.
Yes. And this example also talked about how people are getting more into, like, bespoke colors.
Bespoke colors? What's
Right.
like?
Custom made,
Oh, interesting.
people are moving away from those mass-produced colors.
Yeah.
And creating their own unique palettes.
It's that whole personal expression thing again.
Exactly. It's all connected,
Like we want our homes to reflect our own style.
Right. It's like paint has become a new way to tell our stories.
I love that. Each color choice reveals something about who we are.
And how we want to feel in our spaces.
It's like color is a language.
It is. But remember, what speaks to one person might not speak to another. There's no right or wrong answer when it comes to color preferences.
It's about finding the colors that make you feel good. Right.
Exactly. And one of the articles used this funny example to show that
How was it?
they talked about this paint collection called Sweet Treats.
Sweet treats, cute.
It's all of these rich browns with names like affogato and galette.
Like the desserts.
Exactly. But they pointed out that, like, someone who doesn't like sweets might not be drawn to those colors even if they love the actual colors themselves.
That's hilarious.
It shows how our own experiences affect how we see color.
It's true. It's not just about how it looks.
Right. There's that emotional and psychological part, too.
So much more to it than we realize.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what makes this whole topic so fascinating.
I know. It's been a great conversation.
I agree.
Okay, before we go any further, I want to hear from you.
Oh, okay.
Out of all these color trends, which ones are you most drawn to and why?
Ooh, good question. I'm going to have to think about that.
Yeah, me too. There are so many good ones.
I know. It's hard to choose. It's been fun looking at all these color trends, you know?
I know, right? It really makes you think about how we use color to express ourselves.
Totally. Like our homes become these little canvases.
Exactly. And I think it's so interesting how these trends often reflect what's going on in the world around us.
Oh, absolutely.
Like we talked about earlier, this desire for comfort and stability. It's showing up in those warm, earthy colors like Mocha Mousse.
Makes sense, right? Like after all the uncertainty.
Exactly. It's like we're all subconsciously seeking that feeling of being grounded.
Totally. And it's not just about the warm colors either.
What do you mean?
Well, think about some of the other trends we talked about, like that grape color.
Oh, yeah. The one that was almost brown, almost plum.
Right. There's something kind of mysterious about those colors that defy definition.
I know what you mean. It's like they make you want to look closer.
Yes. It's like they have more depth.
It's interesting, right? Like, color trends are always changing.
Oh, for sure. What's hot today might be totally out tomorrow.
But that's also part of what keeps things exciting, don't you think?
Definitely. It keeps us on our toes.
And it gives us permission to explore and try new things.
Right. Because at the end of the day, trends are just trends.
That's true.
They can inspire us, but the best color choices are the ones that really speak to you personally.
So true. Your home should be a reflection of your own style, you know?
Exactly. It should feel authentically you.
And that might mean following the trends, or it might mean doing something completely different.
Totally. There's no right or wrong answer.
As long as you love it.
Exactly. You know, we were talking about the psychology of color before.
We were, yeah.
And how certain colors can evoke specific feelings.
Right, like blue is calming.
Yeah, but there's also that subconscious level, remember?
Oh, right, where color can affect us without us even realizing it.
Exactly. It's pretty amazing, actually.
I know. Tell me more about that. I'm fascinated.
Well, like, did you know that certain colors have been shown to actually stimulate appetite?
No way. Really?
Yeah, and others can help you relax or even focus better.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So it's like when we're choosing paint colors, we're not just decorating.
No, not at all.
We're actually shaping the energy of the whole space.
Exactly. We're influencing how we're going to feel in that room.
That's a powerful thought. You know, one of the articles made a really good point about testing colors.
Oh, yeah, super important.
Like you have to see how they look in different lighting before you paint a whole room.
Absolutely. A color can look totally different in the store versus in your house.
I know, right? Especially under natural light.
Yeah, or in the evening when the lights are on.
It's crazy how much the lighting can change things.
It really is. And that's why the article specifically warned against using strong colors without really thinking it through.
Oh, yeah, I remember that part.
They said something like the wrong strong color can be unbearable.
Ouch. Yeah, been there. Remember my bright yellow bathroom?
Oh, yeah. Poor you.
I thought it would be so cheerful.
I bet you did.
But it ended up feeling way too intense, especially in such a small space.
It's a common mistake, though.
It is.
Oh, yeah. We often fall in love with a color without thinking about how it'll actually feel in the room.
So the moral of the story is...
Tester pots are your friends.
They really are. Test, test, test.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to play around with different shades and tones.
And don't forget, it's not just about the walls either.
Oh, good point.
You can use furniture, textiles, art, all those things to bring color into your space.
Exactly. Think about the overall color scheme you're going for.
And how different colors can work together.
It's like putting together a puzzle.
It is. Okay, so we've talked about the psychology of color, the importance of testing, and how to incorporate color into your decor.
It's been a good conversation.
But before we wrap things up,
yeah,
I want to leave you with something to think about.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Imagine you could design a paint color that captured the essence of this very moment in time.
Ooh, that's a good one.
What would you call it?
Wow, that's really making me think.
It's about those colors, emotions, experiences that define this moment.
Like bottling up the feeling of right now in a paint.
Exactly. So what color would it be? What would you call it? And what feelings or ideas would it evoke?
I can't wait to hear what people come up with.
Me too.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what resonates with our listeners.
Definitely.
It really is all about finding those colors that make you happy.
And creating a space that feels right for you.
Exactly. And speaking of all those color trends we talked about, we covered 9 specific ones, right?
We did.
Each one had its own unique vibe.
So true.
Maybe we should do a quick recap.
Sounds good.
Just to refresh everyone's memory.
Okay, let's do it.
We started with Mocha Mousse, Pantone's color of the year.
That warm, comforting brown.
Yep. All about simplicity and finding joy in the everyday.
And then we had those avocado and olive greens.
Oh, yes. Those were so calming.
Like bringing the outdoors in.
Exactly. And then things got a little more dramatic with those burgundies and crimsons.
Oh, I loved those. So sophisticated.
They really are. Perfect for creating a space that feels both elegant and inviting.
Then we had those plum and grape tones.
Oh, yes, with that touch of mystery.
Deep and enveloping, perfect for a cozy night in.
And then we ventured into the world of moss green.
Ah, yes, moss green.
Not for everyone, but it can be really cool when used the right way.
Right. It adds depth and history.
Exactly. And it reminds us that color preferences are so personal.
So true. What one person loves, another might not.
Absolutely. And then we had those rich, earthy browns.
Which are making a big comeback.
They are, thanks to Mocha Mousse.
Perfect for creating that grounded, cozy vibe.
And then there were those romantic, dusty rose pinks and terracottas.
Oh, those are so beautiful.
They are. And they have that connection to nature, too.
Like the warmth of the earth.
Exactly. And of course, we can't forget those cheerful, warm, golden yellows.
Always a classic.
They bring a touch of sunshine and remind us of art history.
Like Van Gogh.
Exactly. And then finally, we explored ultramarine.
That bold, luxurious blue.
Perfect for adding a touch of drama and elegance.
It's a statement color for sure.
It is. Wow, what a journey through the world of color.
I know, right? So many possibilities.
It's been so inspiring to see how people are using color to express themselves.
And to create spaces that feel unique and personal.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to encourage you to embrace the power of color in your own life.
Don't be afraid to experiment.
Have fun with it.
And let your personality shine through.
And if you do decide to create that essence of the moment color we talked about,
oh, yes,
be sure to share it with us.
We'd love to see what you come up with.
This has been The Deep Dive, your shortcut to being well-informed.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time, happy decorating.